time, fools.
Yo, what's up, Game Boys and Girls? Big T. I'm finally back with another video. This is a tea time commentary. I'll mostly be doing those when it comes to gaming. I got some other plans in the works here for this channel, so good to be back. I probably came back a little earlier. I don't know if you guys know, but I ended up contracting COVID. It sucks. Don't get it. If you do get it, make sure you're vaccinated, because I'm sure it would have been a lot worse. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about Steam Deck. For whatever reason, I mean, I have some ideas, but for whatever reason, Steam Deck continues to, for lack of a better term, trigger a lot of Nintendo fans, and I'm just perplexed as to why. Now, I've gotten some explanation on it. I think some Nintendo fans feel slighted by the instant popularity of Steam Deck, although Switch, I think, had pretty much instant popularity. Maybe it took a few months, but it got pretty instant popularity. Some are upset because they straight up believe that Steam Deck is kind of copying the Switch. And I don't know, at this point you could say that based on its form factor, because there's been so many devices. I mean, there were devices, or at least attempts at devices, before the Switch to do what the Switch is doing. But another narrative I heard, and I think I heard this pretty recently, is that I guess there's Steam. Don't get me wrong. There's a Steam community that is very fanatical, that is very passionate, and I think some of those guys tend to want to pit Steam Deck against Switch at times, but from what I've seen, that's a pretty small group of people. You guys have seen my review, perhaps. If you haven't, go ahead and check it out, of the Steam Deck. I talk about pretty much everything. I think I might have delved a little bit into the emulation side of it, and that's one of the things that's really triggering Nintendo fans. And they'll say they're not triggered, but they clearly are, because when they see, especially Nintendo games running on a Steam Deck, they get upset about it. And I mean, just be honest about it. I mean, I don't know why you have to beat around the bush about that. Some people think emulation is a horrible thing. Some people think it's a way to steal games, and some people truly believe that is a way to preserve games. Now, just because one or the other exists doesn't mean the other doesn't exist. A lot of fans, a lot of gamers want to, on the anti-emulation side, want to act like there are no people that care about preservation. They want to believe, because it's easier narrative, is an easier attack line, to think that everybody who emulates just wants to steal games, and that's just not true. I can't put a number on it, but I know a lot of people who have purchased their games, like the convenience of playing on something else, another device, and maybe even a device that runs the game better. And yes, a lot of emulators run the games better. I've heard that that's not the case. I don't know what emulators you're running, but a lot of the emulators I play, and it obviously depends on the hardware you're running, and that's the thing about Steam Deck, it is very capable hardware, so you can run games at better frame rates and better resolutions, and better just overall settings, higher settings, than you would get on the native hardware, especially the Nintendo hardware. But again, people like to break arguments down into very simple terms because it's easy to attack that way. My biggest, favorite word is nuance. I'm all about nuance. Nuance exists in everything. If you just deal in black and white then you're a Sith. Because only Sith deal in obsoletes. Famous term, a famous quote, I should say, from the great Obi-Wan Kenobi. Young children deal in obsoletes. They usually get over that pretty quickly. But most even-minded, grounded human beings understand nuance and gray areas. So if you're one of the people running around, especially on Twitter, saying, "Oh, they just want to steal the games," I automatically just shut you down. I don't even like, just so you know, I don't even like hear your argument. Post that, because you're just lying. It's not true what you're saying. You want to believe it to be true because it makes it easier for you to argue your point. But there are tons of people in the community who care about preservation, because the game companies do not. They have either these continuous paywalls to get to games that you already purchased, to be able to play them on the new hardware, or they just, outright don't even have the games available for you. And the saddest, strangest thing is that Microsoft currently is the best at this. They offer backwards compatibility at no extra charge. It started on started on Xbox One, where you can but you can run Xbox 360 and original Xbox games on your One, and you can continue to do that. And now with even better visuals and frame rates. Some companies want to charge you for that, $10 more, to get the better stuff on their new console, Sony. But there is one company that doesn't want to charge you for that, or doesn't charge you for that. So that's pretty cool. So yes, game preservation is a thing. It is a thing for people who like to emulate, because I don't like the idea of purchasing something that I paid for, and sometimes multiple times, and having the company have all the control over that. That doesn't sit well with me. I purchased it. It is mine. Now, obviously the code and all that stuff isn't mine, but I purchased something. If I want to dump it, I'm allowed to. It's legal, and I can back it up, because currently Nintendo picks and chooses what you can back up on their console, and you have to pay for it, which is bananas. Imagine back in the day, let's say the GameCube. You got your memory card for your save backup, but every time you used it, you had to pay for it. The GameCube would have sold way less than what it did. So I don't understand why gamers don't realize that is crazy. I should not have to pay for my ability to back up my saves on my console. I've been doing that since consoles have been a thing, pretty much. Obviously, you only back it up on the cart itself. You only have that one save. But once we got to memory cards on game consoles, you could back it up, and you could put multiple saves on a cartridge too. That was a thing you could do. But once we got in the PS1 era, you could back your save on multiple memory cards. It wasn't a big deal, it wasn't a thing. But now it's like, oh, that's something else we can make money on, and that's crazy. But the emulation scene on Steam Deck is really bothering a lot of Nintendo fans, and not all, because I'm a Nintendo fan, it doesn't bother me, but it's bothering a lot of Nintendo fans, because some of them are just falling for the bait that some of these Steam dudes are putting out there. Obviously, Steam Deck is a really cool device. It's an open platform. You have all these freedoms that you have on home consoles. You have free online. You have a free achievement system. You have free saves, backup. You can back up as much as you want. You have the cloud saves that are free on Steam. So you have all this stuff, all this freedom, and you can obviously go into desktop mode and use it as a computer where you can access Netflix and all the good, all the apps and stuff that you would do on a multimedia device. something these are the things you can't do on Switch. The only advantages Switch has is Nintendo games, and that is a big advantage. It's the reason I will keep buying Nintendo consoles until they stop doing physical media. That's a whole nother video. But that is a big advantage. That's the one advantage. And so when people see that advantage being taken away, stolen away, some of them feel, they get upset when you bring, especially Switch games, to Steam Deck. Now, there are tons of people who emulate Switch games who have those games on their Switch, and it's like, why would you do that when you already have it on Switch? What business is it of yours? Why people play where they play? It's not your business. I don't know why that affects you. But the people who are emulating Nintendo games, especially Switch games, on a Steam Deck or whatever, that haven't bought the device or that haven't bought the games, you're scumbags. I do personally have a statute of limitations on when you can download old games. For me, it's 10 plus years, something like that. Or like I said, if you currently have purchased those games, everything that I've emulated on Steam Deck or on a computer or whatever are either games that I own or games that are super old and obscure and just way too pricey to buy a used copy of. And there's no ethical thing about buying a used copy because Nintendo's not getting that money anyway. So it's not like I'm taking money out of their pockets. Unless, you say, oh, you should pay for their online to get the trickled out nonsense that they give us on Switch. And no, I'm not going to do that. But everything they have on there, pretty much everything they have on Switch Online, I have physically, in my collection. So, but there is something really cool and convenient about taking this device, playing modern games on it, doing your PC thing on it, your Linux thing on it, and then switching over and playing emulated games on the go. Because there are tons of mod systems out there that are this form factor of a handheld nature that do that. I was just looking at, I think, Modern Vintage Gamers video on the PS2 portable that you can order, and that they're super expensive. But that's something you can't do. Again, those companies don't make any money from any of that stuff, so do what you want. But it's something really cool because I call this the new Switch Army Knife of gaming, because on this device I can play Steam games, obviously, and there's tons of those. I can play PlayStation games because PlayStation and Sony is bringing their games to PC. I can play current Xbox games because of Game Pass. I can play Game Pass on here. And if I want to play old school games, I can do that too from an emulator. And it's all on one device. And it's really strange for me when I see Nintendo fans act like they don't understand how cool that is. Especially the ones who are currently and have been begging for years for everything to come to the Switch. Oh, this game is locked on this console, or this game is locked over there. They need to bring it to the Switch. Well, if you feel that way, you should understand why it's cool to have a device that has all that versatility. So it's kind of hypocritical to me to downplay Steam Deck when you want everything that the Steam Deck does. I mean, it is what it is. I just don't understand. For me, I don't understand the the back and forth. Again, I get it that some guys are relishing in that. Some PC dudes, Steam Deck users are relishing in that. But you're falling for you're falling to the bait. You're falling into the traps. Why do that? Switch is winning. It's been winning. Switch is outselling current generation consoles. I remember somebody, I think it was Next Gen that said this. He was touting this. Yeah, it was during the Wii U era, because the Wii U was being outsold by Xbox 360 and PS3 on a monthly basis when it first dropped. And he was like, "Oh, I don't have a good impersonation of him. Oh, you can't. How you gonna have a new system come out being beat? You know, being outsold by the old systems? That's trash." Well, Switch is outselling all the new systems, and I know they'll say, "Oh, demand. They don't have enough consoles." Blah blah blah. So it's not Nintendo's fault. Not Nintendo's problem. The Switch is handily outselling the new consoles monthly. Is that a slight to the old consoles? I'm sure the argument will change now that Switch is number one. And it's funny because I see a lot of similarities with the Switch that I used to see with the Wii, where it's like, you know, they accepted defeat basically. The Switch is selling, and just keeps selling. They talk about it for like 2 seconds and move on. I know there's Xbox podcasts that do that. I don't really listen to a lot of PlayStation podcasts or Sony podcasts, but I know Xbox guys do that. They'll mention quickly in passing Switch's success and move on. Oh, you know, Nintendo's in their own corner. Yeah, destroying you from their own corner. But anyway, I just think that's funny. I first caught wind of that narrative during the N64 era, where it was just not even... I feel like it wasn't even talked about. GameCube especially, where it was like, it's supposed to be competition between the three consoles, but all they ever talked about was like Xbox and PlayStation, which is, you know, annoying. And they did that during the Wii. Oh, the Wii it's not even a game console. It's a completely different thing. But I'm off on a tangent here. But like I said, Steam Deck is... I don't understand people why you have to lie. Like, lie about what the Steam Deck is capable of to dunk on it or make your points. You don't have to do that. Why do that? We all know what the specs are. The spec sheet's been out there forever. You've seen people benchmarking it. There's probably thousands of videos about people benchmarking Steam Deck. What was the Digital Foundry did a really good video on that, showing the resolutions that it outputs to monitors. It's not 800p. It's not 900p. It's gone up to 2K for a lot of games. You can get 2K and some really good frame rates. Again, don't take my word for it, because I'm not a tech guy. Go check out Digital Foundry's video. They did a really extensive video on what the docked nature of the Steam Deck is. So get out of this lane. like Nintendo fans, get out of this lane. It's petty. It looks silly. You don't have to be in this lane. Enjoy the fact that we're getting tons of exclusives. I saw some graphic where there's 55 Switch games that sold 1 million or more. That's insane. Take the W. Take the win. You know. Steam Deck isn't irrelevant. You don't think it's irrelevant if you're constantly talking about it and being upset by people who talk about it, because you're making it relevant. That makes it relevant. You can say you're not upset or mad, but your actions speak louder than your words. It's just, that's how the world works. I'm not mad. And then everything you post is, you know, about Steam Deck and how it's not as great as people who are trying to enjoy it say it is, even when you don't have one. It's unnecessary, and it's strange, and we don't need to do that. So that's my video. Hope it's not too long. I can't remember. Let me see if I can look at my timeline here. My mouse doesn't want to work. Oh, it's kind of long. But I think I got to the point and made my points. Let me know what you guys think. I'm a Nintendo fan, and I'm not threatened by the Steam Deck. Perhaps Nintendo should be, if they're going to continue the Switch form factor, and I think they will for the next console. The Steam Deck is not competition for the Switch, but it could be competition for Switch 2. Because Valve recently put out something talking about the next iteration of Steam Deck. And it's only going to get better. And unlike a Nintendo console or even a Sony or Xbox console, Steam Deck or Valve, because this is a success, and yes, it's a success, it's not going to be in any bargain bins anytime soon. Sorry. Because it's a success, Valve is talking about, maybe even every 3 years or so, updating it. And nobody's going to be able to keep up with that. That's kind of like the PC kind of timeline. So, or cell phone timelines. Cell phones are actually yearly, I think, at this point, right? I don't really pay attention. I buy one every few years, or upgrade every few years, so I don't know. But they're very happy with how the Steam Deck is doing. They're looking towards the future of it. They're wanting to know what people want in a newer version. I think battery life was the top, and then I think graphics was the next one. But it's like, well, you want better graphics, the battery life's gonna suffer. You can't really have both, because of the nature of the power output. So, but yeah, that's all I got to say about this. Let me know what you guys think. Do you also see people overreacting to Steam Deck? And it's on both sides. Like I said, there's a contingent of Steam Deck users who just want to piss off Nintendo fans. Don't let them. Why are you helping them? Ignore that, They'll go away. Most people who emulate, including myself, it's a fun thing for a while. But if you're a long-time gamer, you'll just end up using the original hardware, if you have it, especially. But even guys who emulate games aren't sitting there beating old games, really. They're just wowed and want to see how they look on a newer thing. And then they just kind of move on. I know I do that. I know a lot of people that do that. People who have Switch Online do that. Where they're paying for, N64, etc., and they barely play that stuff because you're busy playing the new stuff. So that's why it's not that big a deal. But anyway, that's all I got to say about this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you again for watching and listening, and I will see you fools next time. Peace out.